Hello everybody, my name is Dr. Rufaro. I hope you're doing well today. Thank you for joining us on Nehemiah African Projects. If this is your first time, I hope you like and subscribe to the channel. We talk about all things investing in different African countries. So it doesn't matter where you're from, whether you're originally from an African country or you grew up in the U.S., we generally talk about all things concerning the U.S. African Diaspora. And for those that aren't familiar with that term, it just simply means anyone originally from an African country. It includes African Americans, Caribbeans, and also just anyone who is interested in the future growth of African countries. So today we're going to talk about if is starting a business still optional for the U.S. African Diaspora. We recently had a video where we were talking about the American dream. And for many people, part of the American dream has always been being able to pursue business opportunities. America is the land of opportunity, and thank God for that, because it allows anyone, no matter what background you're from, to be able to pursue an enterprise, pursue a small business, and the sky is the limit. Now, there are challenges, there are barriers sometimes to finance, access to capital, particularly for minority groups. And those are things that the U.S. African Diaspora in general has had to historically face. But we overcome those challenges. We're resilient. We don't let that stop us. We rely heavily on our community, the communities that we live in, whether it's directly from the country you're originally from, or from just the broader African diaspora community through churches and supporting each other. There are various African cultures depending on countries, but in general, most communities tend to come together and try to support each other, and that is a beautiful thing. Obviously, different people have different experiences, but in the broad respect of things, the opportunities are there. You find U.S. African Diaspora doing what they're good at. They go into the personal services, whether it's for hair care, people starting small businesses, people starting restaurants. We all know we like food. There's nothing more that brings us together than different cultural food. I'm also a big fan of different African cultural foods as well, from different countries. And it's something that you can find common ground on. Food, entertainment, my goodness, when it comes to the music industry and even video production, very creative people in general. So there's so many different business opportunities, but the question still stands: is building a business in the U.S. no longer optional for U.S. African Diaspora? And some might say, well, not everybody is built to be an entrepreneur or wants to take on that risk of starting a business. Many people are open to doing side hustles, where you're still working for another company, maybe as a contractor or whatnot. But the distinguishment with running your own business is, you're no longer anyone's employer or anything like that. You are starting your own vision and, running with it. And there's many factors that go into this discussion because there are a wealth of economic pressures from macroeconomics, microeconomics. You can look at the overall job market. Wages aren't going up. Appreciation of housing prices. So many many things that we can run down the list that would urge people to say, you know what, I didn't think I was an entrepreneur, but I'm going to do this. And a lot of the times, it really is based on your situation that would really drive you to say, you know what, I need to start something of my own. I want to start something of my own. And most people start that journey maybe while they're still working their regular 9 to 5, and there's nothing wrong with that so long as there's no conflict of interest. They find ways to do that, and with online opportunities, the sky really is the limit. Really just based on your interest and what market you're looking at. So some do. Some decide to go into real estate sales. Some decide to, do consulting based on their expertise. Opportunities are endless. But again, once again, the question is it still optional to do that? And the answer really is yes. It still is optional, because if you really don't want to take that full step into entrepreneurship, that's the beauty of what we talk about at Nehemiah African Project, which is investing. In investing, when you invest, if you invest in a company, you own part of that company. It's just that people don't think about it that way. But you own part of that company. That company is now working to increase its revenue, and if it's dividend paying stock, then you receive dividends. So some have that mindset of investing in different types of investments and investment vehicles, so that while you're not running a full-fledged business and there's still risk involved, it does still free up your time, and you can do other things. You can let your money work for you. So I think that's if people could switch their mindset and say, put that investor hat on, that really should be your first business venture, really. It's a personal business venture of just investing. And then now you have some capital to work with. Now you can talk of, okay, I have some capital to work with. May not be a whole lot needed to start the business, but I have something to work with to have owners' contributions to start your business as working capital. Because cash flow is very important, folks. And so when you're deciding to jump into your own business, you obviously want to do your research, but you want to also make sure that you've built in some form of management reserves. And some people don't even think about these things. They just start. And that's okay too. But understand that everything has its risk. And it's just always planning for contingencies is what I'm talking about. So is it optional? I would say the answer is yes. It's still optional. But there's increasing pressure for everybody to start some kind of business. So I'm not talking about side hustles where, you sign up for something, or, hey, I'm going to drive Uber a couple of hours, which is nothing wrong with that, or, hey, I'm going to go do this, deliver this, maybe for Amazon delivery or something like that as a delivery person. I'm talking about actually starting your own venture where you own it, you're potentially hiring people, or you just start off by yourself, or maybe with your spouse, and you take that plunge, and everything that comes with it in terms of business. So the answer is yes. It is still optional, because the better approach is, at least in my opinion, is to always invest in different things, which is why we talk about investing in passive vehicles, or if you want to invest hybrid, and then maybe invest if you decide to completely relocate to Africa, but considering Africa as an open market to invest, and not just your typical, let's say, U.S. stock market, or your 401k through your job or anything like that. We're talking above and beyond that, right? You're doing that basic minimum, and you are diversifying. Maybe you have some real estate here in the U.S., perfect, renting a basement, or you're renting the whole house or something, And that is wonderful. Those are the things that you want to do to diversify, so that you can always have some sort of reserves, shit in case things happen. And I think the low risk approach is always to still do it while you still have your job, or transition to a job that's a little bit more flexible, that allows you to do more with your time, or have flexible schedules, so that you can start a business. And so there's many opportunities. The answer is yes. It's still optional, but the pressure is increasing for people to have something of their own that they own. Definitely start out with investing, like I said, hybrid approach from your 9 to 5 into a business. And it all really just depends on your goals. Some people have really demanding 9 to 5s, but they decide, you know what, I'm gonna dedicate my weekends, my whole day on Saturday, to pushing this particular business. And depending on the business, it works for them at that time until they need to start really growing and things of that nature. But I also do want to challenge you, again, the broader U.S. diaspora market, to consider starting business where you truly are the business owner and not just running the day-to-day. Yeah, when you first start out, you gotta wear many hats, but consider the whole organizational design from the get-go, that hey, I'm gonna own this is my time frame, only for the first year. I'm gonna get involved, right, really hamper down my processes, write down my standard operating procedures, make sure I'm virtual as much as possible, remote, that you can check things from your phone and your laptop. That's the kind of business that you want to do in this day and age, particularly going into 2026, so that you can move from just running a business to from actually working in the business to running and managing the business. That's what you want. You want to get it to a mature stage, no matter what business it is, to be able to get to that level. Then you are now creating a wealth system, taking advantage of the opportunities here in the beautiful USA, so that you can take some owner's withdrawal or whatever it is, or invest as your business, even in an African country. So there's so many opportunities there. It's really a mindset shift. But I did want to answer that question, because a lot of people have kind of asked me, like, hey, is it a must now? Like, everybody have a side hustle. Nobody just has one job. People have multiple jobs. But at some point, there's so much pressure to say, you know what, I want to own something of my own. And for those that have that entrepreneurial spirit, and again, you don't have to have this thing that, oh, I must be born to be an entrepreneur. Anybody can be an entrepreneur. You just need to make the decision that, hey, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to commit to certain goals, and I'm going to go after it, and I'm going to be persistent and overcome challenges, because challenges are going to be there. And I'm going to learn from the experience, but as much as possible, I'm going to be proactive to reduce my risk, because like I said, everything about investing is risk and reward, and there's no different with running a business, even in the US, where there's ample opportunities and there's mature systems. Take advantage of that. It means you can get started really, really fast. No regulations or challenges or hoops to jump through to start your business. But it's up to you to continue pursuing it and maintain it. And ultimately, you determine the success of the business. So just want to encourage folks that, hey, if don't be afraid, because a lot of times what stops people is fear. Is fear of, oh, what if this fails? Oh, what if I lose money? And so if we were to approach life with that mentality, we would never do anything, because everything has risk. So I want to encourage you to consider it, especially in this day and age. Do what you're good at. You can start there, or if you want to do something different, you can do your research. But highly recommend, if it's not something that's personal services, highly recommend a remote business, an online business. If you have questions about that, especially with AI, you can do an AI first digital business, no matter what sector you're in. It doesn't matter. Every industry will benefit from this. So really consider that in your organizational design. And if that's something you want to do, then hey, you can do it. Sky's the limit. So hope that was encouraging to somebody, and we'll be bringing more content on investing in different African countries. Thank you for watching Nehemiah African Projects. Again, my name is Dr. Afaro. Have a great day.